So it's time for me to talk about my winter DNFs. Now I decided to do this because I put a poll up on Twitter and asked people whether they thought it was a good idea for me to do that. I know one of my favourite booktubers of all time, Murphy Napier, does this and it's always quite successful for her. And the concept of it is I will tell you all of the books I DNF'd, why I DNF'd them, whether I just liked them, didn't like them and I just weren't in the place for them, whatever the reason I DNF'd was, and then at the end I will give you the option to choose a book from my DNF list that I am then going to have to complete. I'm going to start it and finish it because that is what you vote for. So at the end I will put a poll up in the taggy thing. I don't know where that goes anymore. It gets really confusing. My camera flips, so I'm going to point there and it'll be up there. So we'll see. It's going to be up somewhere. And I will put that there so you can vote. I will also put a poll up on Twitter again and you can vote there as well. So please make sure you follow me on Twitter and make sure you subscribe and vote because I really need them. So the first book that I DNF'd this year was Wuthering Heights. Now I've already said I can't really say why I DNF'd Wuthering Heights. I felt as though maybe it was the writing style, it was a classic. I'm not really into classics, so I thought it was always at a bit of a disadvantage me doing that. But I wanted to get more into classics, so my thought process behind it was keep reading it as much as you can, keep going, and eventually the writing style won't bother me anymore because I've read it so often, I kind of get it now. And honestly, up to a point, I felt as though I was enjoying the book until I realised that I was nowhere near halfway through. And then it just kind of hit me like, I can't keep doing this. I can't keep going all the way through when I'm nowhere near halfway yet. And it was at that point when I realised that I'd read so much yet made no progress. I was like, no. I have to stop because I just couldn't do it. I was starting to really dislike it. I didn't like the characters. There was very few of them that I actually liked. And it was painful. It got painful. But I also said, and this was a really big struggle for me, so I have to admit that this may be a contributing factor for why I DNF'd it. I had it on my Kindle and I hate reading on a Kindle. I hate it. I only read on a Kindle out of necessity because I don't want to buy the book. And that might have been why, because I don't like reading things digitally. I like holding the book. So there was a good chance that that was why I DNF'd it as well. So it's hard to say. I just know at the time I could not stand the idea that I had more than halfway to go in the book when I felt as though I'd done everything I possibly could and I didn't deserve the torture anymore. So, the second book I DNF'd was A Liverpool Lullaby by Anne Baker. Now, I DNF'd this because, to be honest, I knew from the start. I knew when I picked it up that this was not a book I was going to enjoy. This book is one that belongs to my grandmother, and I don't like the book she reads. But I thought, as a bit of a challenge for myself, I'll take it home, I'll read it. And to be fair, I had it for like 5 years in my cupboard and I forgot all about it. And then I picked it up at random because of the random number generator on my TBR wheel. And I ended up having to read it then. So I thought it was a good idea for me to do that. And I started it and I knew I wasn't going to like it because there was nothing to it. It was about a young girl that worked in a shop whose mother randomly walked in the shop and died when she thought her mother had died years ago. And then I think it just follows her throughout her life as she decides she doesn't want to work for her father anymore because he's quite an aggressive, abusive man. Right? And it's set in like very early 1900s, like 1903, something like that. And it really wasn't for me. So I've actually unhauled the book. I give it back to my grandmother because I was like, never again am I even going to attempt that. And then this video happened. So the reason I DNF'd it, as I said, I knew for a fact when I picked it up, it was not my kind of book. Maybe if I'd have given it more of a chance and got further into it, I would have perhaps enjoyed it more. I don't know. It's very difficult for me to tell. That's why I decided to do this, because I give up on books. And it's up to you guys to say, no, you're not allowed to give up on that. Carry on. And I have to. So if you want me to read that one, you can vote for that one. If you want me to read Wuthering Heights, vote for that one. Or if you want me to read the last book that I DNF'd in winter, The Best of Me by Nicholas Sparks, vote for that one. Now, The Best of Me. I don't even know what the issue was. I don't really like romance, for a starter. All of the books I've DNF'd are just books that are not really my genre. So to be fair, they were always at a bit of a disadvantage. But then again, I finished a few that were out of my comfort zone and I really enjoyed them. So, it's very hard to say. But it was a romance book. It was part of a trope that I hate of the childhood sweethearts reuniting. And I was like, I hate that. And I really wasn't enjoying it. I think I got like 3 chapters in and I just found it so incredibly boring and drawn out. And I didn't care. I didn't care what happened. I've watched the movie because I used to live with a group of friends in university and we watched the movie one night. So I kind of get the basis of the story. I know what happens really. I know how it ends. And I think realistically, had I continued, it's possible that I would have enjoyed it. But I was just watching it and I was just reading it and thinking, I don't really care. Like, I know what's going to happen because I've seen the film. So unless that is dramatically different, I'm fairly sure what's going to happen. And I don't even care enough to read. I really don't. It was very boring. And basically, the story is about 2 childhood sweethearts. Life forced them apart. And then years later, they come back together for a funeral of a mutual friend. And they rekindled the love they had. And really, that's as much as I'm going to say about it. If you like the romance stories, if you like Nicholas Sparks, give it a go. You really will enjoy it. Just not for me. I knew I wouldn't. So, I don't know. Wuthering Heights, I feel like the main reason that was at a disadvantage was because it was on a Kindle. Liverpool Lullaby, I feel it was at a disadvantage because I went into it pre-biased knowing that I wasn't going to like the book. So maybe I just made myself not like it because of that. And then The Best of Me, that was at a big disadvantage because I'd seen the film. So I kind of knew what to expect. And if it weren't going to get there quicker, I was done. And sadly, that's what happened. So, those are the 3 books that I DNF'd in winter. I say winter because winter is ending now and spring is starting, and I only started in January, so really this is going to be shorter than probably in the future. I would like to believe that I'll never DNF again, but what's the likelihood of that? So, now it is over to you. I will put a post on Twitter, and that will last until the 31st of March, and I will also put a poll up in the corner and just vote again up until the 31st of March, and then I will decide which one I have to read, and I'll see whether I'm going to read it in April or May. April is going to be a month of mood reads, so if I'm feeling that maybe I want to give it another go there, I'll pick it up then. If not, I will try to incorporate it into my May TBR. So that is all from me. Thank you very much. I post every Monday, Wednesday and Saturday, and until next time, see you later.